Hey guys, this is Christina Davis with craftmuse, and I'm back with another tutorial. This time it's for an on the loom design. This is my rainbow loom Dumbo, and well, he's inspired by Dumbo. He doesn't look exactly like him, but I think he's cute. We're going to be making this today. This video will probably be broken up into two. I mean, he's not like extremely hard, but a little bit time consuming, so I think 2 videos would be good for this. So in this first video we're going to be working on his trunk, his ears, hat and collar and feet, and then in the next video we'll start with his body and putting everything onto it. So this is the little guy here that you're going to be making today. He's got his little hat and his collar and his 3D trunk. Back view of him. He's really cute. So for the materials that you're going to need for this are, I used about 2 bags of the Rainbow Loom Gray, so that was like 1,200, but I think I had some left over. So you'll need some sort of gray, or you could do like a light blue. Today I'm going to use, I got these at, where did I get these? At Joann's. I'm using an off-brand band because I wanted a lighter gray just to see how it would look. So I got these. They're like a silvery light gray. They're 50 cents a bag, so couldn't pass that up. So I got those. And then you'll need some white for his little nails, some yellow for his collar and hat, and then some pink for the inside of his ears, and black for eyelashes if you want to add those. And then I also stuffed him with some polyfill, so you'll need something to put inside of him. I mean, he's not like really super squishy just because he's all double banded, because I don't like to make single banded designs unless I absolutely have to. So yeah, so let's get started with the ears actually. And the setup that you're going to need for your loom, you're going to need 2 looms just for the ear part only. And then we basically just switch to 1 loom after that. So I've just got it set up like this, straight across, just in the rectangular position, and it's facing towards me. And I'm going to try my hardest not to go out of camera with this. This is going to be really awkward for me, trying to loom on camera, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so we're going to start out with our gray, or whatever color you're using. And we're going to make our first ear. We're doing the ears in 2 parts. So we'll make the big part, the gray part, and then the inside of the ear for the pink will be separate, and then we'll be attaching those with bands. So just follow along with me. I'm starting out with 2 bands. All of this is double banded unless I tell you different. So I'm in the center pin. I'm going down with 2 bands, and then on the, I hope you can see this gray because it's really light. Okay. So I've got 2 bands there, and then I'm going to go out diagonally. These are really stretchy. So I went diagonal twice, and then on that same side I'm going to go down 5 times with double bands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then I'm going to go diagonal down. So there's 1 diagonal, and then I'm going down again. 2. Okay. And then I am going to use 1 band for this part, and I'm going to double loop it. Wow, those are really easy to double loop. Okay, double loop, and place that right there. Okay, now we're going to move up to this side and go diagonal twice. So there's 1, and 2, and then we're going to go down 3 times. with the double bands. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go diagonal twice. So there's 1. And 2. And then we're just going to go down. So 1, 2, and 3 to the end. Well, to where our double band is, our double loop band. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. And now what we're going to do is just fill in these empty pins here. So we're just going to go down with double bands down all of these rows that have no bands on them inside of our design. So what I'm going to do is actually make one ear with you, and then you guys can go and make the other one. And I would suggest that you do it symmetrical so that you have 2 opposite ears instead of 2 of the same. Alright, so I've got it all filled in. This is what you should have right now. And again, I apologize. I hope that you guys don't have a hard time seeing this. Okay, so now we got to do our holding bands. So we're going to take one, and then at the very top, we're double looping and placing it on those 2. And then I'm going to take 2 and put them across the 4. I'm going to take 2 more and go across 4. 2 more and go across 3. And then do the same thing here. So across 4. And then across 3. Across 4. Across 3. Across 4. Across 3. And I'm going to go all the way across all 5 of these. I'm going to go across these 4. And then the last 2, I'm going to double band. So double banding and going across 3. And then I'm double banding and going across 2. Now we want to cap off. So I'm going to wrap this around my pin 3 times. So There's 1, 2, 3 to create 4 loops, and now we can start looming it. Okay, so I'm going to go in through my cap band, and if you guys already know, like, I'm sure most of you already know how to loom, so you can just go ahead and loom it up if you want. Okay, so I went in through my cap band and I grabbed the top band, which is the one that's going up. I'm going to go back in through my cap band and grab that double loop band and bring that up. And then I'm just going to go up here and here. I'm going to grab my top 2 bands that are underneath my holding bands, if I can grab it. I've got 1. Okay, so I'm bringing those up. And then I'm going back in that same one and grabbing the diagonal bands. And I'm just going to go in through here, get the top bands, go up, go back in here and get the bottom, go diagonal. Okay, and so I can continue finishing this one here. Just go up. Make sure you get in front of those holding bands because you don't want to get those included. Okay, I'm going to stop right here on this side, and then I'm going to loom up this one right here. I'm going to stop right there and then move on to over here. Gosh, these bands are really sticky. No wonder they were 50 cents. Okay, so I loomed that up there, and then I'm going to go in through here and loom that to the diagonal. And then I can go in through here and just loom that up right there. Now let's work on this other side here. Okay, so we're going in through our holding bands and looming up, and then going back through there and looming diagonal. And I'm just gonna go down, so I'm gonna loom these up and diagonal. And I'm gonna go up this row here. Okay, and then I'm going to go diagonal and do this row here. Okay, and then on this one I'm going to go down and grab, whoops, I grabbed something else. Okay, I'm going to grab these, bring those over. And then I'm going to go down and do this last row here. And these are popping off my pins because I didn't push them down. As long as you catch them before they pop off, then you're fine. Again, these bands are really sticky, so they're just grabbing everything. Okay, so that was my last one. And now I'm going to tie off these two here. I'm just going to take some white and do that. You can use any color bands you want. You might want to use something different. A different color. Okay, so I'm just making a slip knot. There's one. And there's two. And then we can go ahead and take this off the loom. be careful when you do this. You don't want to break any bands, stretch them out too much. Most of mine were already off the pins anyways. Okay. Okay. So this is what you come up with. And if you want, go ahead and make the, oh no, we've got this band here. Don't make that mistake. Anyways, if you want, go ahead and pause the video, go back, and then make your second gray area. And I would suggest, well, let's see. You could just make it the same. Yeah, you don't have to do it symmetrical because you can just flip it over. So go ahead and make another one, and then we'll start with the pink part when you come back. Okay, so you should now have your two ears. So you've got one facing one way and the other facing the other way. You can set those aside. Now let's do the inner part of the ear. For this portion, I'm using pink, just the regular opaque rainbow loom pink, and the whole thing is double banded. So I'm just taking my pink and double looping it. Not double banded, I should say double looped. Okay, so I'm just placing it on the third pin over, down once, and then I'm going to go diagonal, and again diagonal. Okay, and I'm going to go down 4 times with the double looped bands. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go diagonal twice. There's 1 and 2. Just pushing these down a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to the top, and on this same pin I'm going to go diagonal this way. That. I'm going to go diagonal again. And then I'm going to go down 3 times. So 1, 2, 3 here. Okay, and I'm going to go inside diagonal twice. There's 1, and then 2, and then I'm going to go down twice. There's 1 and 2, and now I'm just going to fill in the insides, the empty pins, with my double looped bands. You see it, like my fingers are like kind of white. It's from those gray bands. They've got some kind of like residue. They leave a residue on my finger. Not used to using this. Not sure what that is. Okay, last one here, and then we have to do our holding bands. Okay, so we're going to double loop between these two here, or on these two here. And then I'm just going to take a single band, stretch it across. Just single bands all the way across. All the way across. All the way across. All the way across. And then the last two, I'm going to double loop. So double loop across these three. Double loop across these two, and then I'm going to put my cap band on. So there's 1, 2, 3, creating 4 loops, and then I'm just going to loom this up. So I'm going in through my capping band, grabbing the top bands and bringing that up, going back through my capping band and bringing that diagonal. I'm just going to continue going this way. So I'm going to go through my holding band, grab the top two or double looped ones, bring that up, and then go down in that same pin and bring it over. And I'm just going to go up this row here. Just going to simply loom up. Now if any of these bands break, you're going to have to replace them because it's just really a single band. So okay, so I stopped right there. I'm going to go up this row now. Okay, and then I'll just go under, in front of all of those bands, and then grab this bottom one and bring it up diagonally. And now I'm going to go to the center. Bring that up, go in through that holding band, grab the top two, bring those up, and go back through that same pin, bring it diagonal, up, diagonal. I'm just going to go do this outside row. Okay, now I'm going to do this row here. Okay, and then this last row here. Actually, no, wait, I have to loom this part up first. So diagonal. Okay, now I can do this row. Okay, and then I'm just going to tie off with a pink band. So I'm going to make sure I'm going through all of those bands. And I'm just going to do a slip knot. Now you want to be really careful when you take this off the loom, just because it's pretty tight. Okay, so I'm just using my hook to help me get it off. Okay, so now you just pretty much have a mini version of your ear. So this is what we're going to be, how we're going to attach it. Okay, so I'm going to put my loom away for now, just so I can show you how to attach this. So the reason why I do it this way off the loom is to give it more dimension. So it looks, I wanted the pink to be more on the inside and have some gray kind of coming over it, kind of like a flap. So this is why I do it this way, the way I'm going to show you right now. So you're going to grab some gray bands, and then I'm going to just tuck this underneath. You don't have to hide it, just tuck it underneath so that when you put it to the ear, it will be underneath so you won't see it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, where your tying off band is, you'll see there's where your slip knot that you made. You're just gonna go through this next stitch over here. So you've got the top loops here, and then you're gonna go through the bottom loops here. So this is what I have on my hook. And then I am going to go through these loops here. So this one, and then this one. So I don't want to go through my holding bands though, just the stitches. Okay, so then I'm going to take 2 bands and bring those through all of the loops on my hook. Go like this, and then do kind of like a slip knot. So, but you've still got this band on your hook, keep it on there. Okay, and we're just going to do that all the way down. So I'm going to go in through the next stitch over, and then the one, well, that entire stitch right there. And then I'm going to go through the next stitch over in the gray, the front and the back, grabbing my 2 gray bands. I'm going to bring that through these loops on my hook. Don't go through this gray band yet. So just pull this up and reclaim the other bands. So now you have 3 on your hook. You're going to take this one through these 2. So I'm just going to pull that through those. Whoops, I missed one. Just like that. Okay, so I'm keeping this band on my hook again, and I'm going to go through the next set. This one. And then I'm going to go through the next gray set. And pull these bands through. So I've got 3, and then I'm just going to take this one here, closest to my curve, and bring that through the other 2 loops. We're going to do this all the way around our ear. Just try not to grab the holding bands. It's not going to be a big deal if you do. Just okay, so bringing this through. So you can see here that we're creating like a little flap kind of. And this also attaches the pink part to it at the same time. So I went through that one. I'm going to go through this next one. try to center this band as much as you can. Okay, and then pulling through. Okay, so the next one. I'm trying to do this slow so you guys hopefully understand. Okay, so my last stitch up here, I'm going to put through here. Okay. So that's what you should have right now. Now I am going to continue around. So I want to leave this part alone, the very tip of the ear. So I'm just going to kind of pull on this, go through my capping band in my pink, and then I'm going to go through, let's see, some stitches right underneath the tip. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. But try not to get the pink with it. Make sure these don't get caught underneath your tying off bands. I grabbed too many bands there. These are all shaped weird. They're all like teardrops here. Weird. Okay, I'll stop complaining about these bands. Alright, so I'm still going. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull these up, my tying bands up, so I can see where I want to go into next. And I think I'm gonna go in here. This is the tying off loop. I'm going in through the loop right underneath it. All right. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to come across on the other side of the tying off band of the pink, going through these loops here. Draw them through. Okay, and then I am just going to go through here, the first, where we first started. And I'm going to bring up 2 bands through all the loops on my hook. And I'm going to do a slip knot. Oh no! Well, it's still tied. You didn't see that. Okay, so I'm going to go in underneath this pink. So I just went in there because it's hollow under the pink, so I'll just bring my broken bands through there to hide it. That's harder to grab broken bands. Okay. Alright. Give it a little tug. Okay. So you got one ear made. Go ahead and do the other ear. When you do the other ear, you want to make sure that you've got this big little, whatever that is, I guess, that big curve here towards the bottom, and then your pink will line up the same way, and then just go ahead and, you know, stitch it on the way we did this one. Wait, let's see. Basically I did that side, so now I want it to be like this. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then come back when you're finished and we'll make the legs. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on the legs. I'm not sure if I said the legs or the trunk, but we're gonna do the legs. So we need to make 4 of these. I'll make 1 with you, and then you can go ahead and make the other 3. They're all the same, the front and the back legs. Whoops, sorry for that shakiness. But yeah, you should have finished your ears. These are my 2 ears. They're opposite of each other. So you can put those aside for now. And for the legs, you really only need 3 pins. But you could get them all out at once, I guess. You could probably make all 4. Yeah, I think you can fit all 4 on here. So we're going to be taking the gray, and then we are going to need some white for the toenails. So I'm going to take 2 whites and wrap it around my hook once, and then grab all of those bands and wrap it around again. And then I'm going to take 2 of my grays and then just slide these white bands on to my gray bands. Okay, and then just center those. So you'll need to make 2 of these per foot, so a total of 8. Okay, so I'm going to make 1 more. So I'm wrapping around once and then grabbing all of them, and again grabbing my gray and moving these over. I can do it. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I've got my two little thingamajigs. Okay, so the whole foot is double banded. Okay, so we're going to start up here and go to the side, to the side. Okay, so I went diagonal this way and then diagonal this way, and then I'm going to go down once, twice, and 3 times. I'm going to do that on the other side. So once, twice, 3 times, and then I'm going to take my bands that I made and stick them on there diagonally, and then the other band diagonally. Okay, and then I'm just going to go down the center till I get to that pin. Okay, and then I'm going to take 2 white bands and cap this off, wrapping around 3 times. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. And I'm going to go all the way across these. My holding bands are going to be double banded, or double looped. I keep wanting to say double banded. Okay, double looped. Double looped, and double looped. Alright, so we can go ahead and loom this up. Go in through your capping band and grab your top 2, which should go up into the center. Oh my gosh, I hate these bands. Ugh. I'm going to take that off. What I get for doing this without never having to use these bands before. Okay, so I'm just replacing my bands. Okay, I'm gonna put my cap band back on, and hopefully this doesn't happen again. I'm just gonna wrap that around twice. Oh my. Okay. Alright, so I'm going in through my capping band and I'm grabbing the top 2. And I'm going to carefully loom that. I'm going to go back in through my capping band and grab the next top 2 and carefully loom that. And then the last one on the bottom and take that over. Okay, and I'm just going to loom up. I am so sorry about my mistakes. Definitely wasn't expecting to have this many. Alright, and then I'm just going to go up the center. Gently up the center. Okay. And then I'm just going to tie off with a gray band. I'm going to take 2 because these have a tendency to break. And make sure you go through all of the loops. And then tie a slip knot. So delicate. Okay. And then just pop this off your loom. Okay, and then just give it a little stretch, and then take your hook, grabbing your middle cap band, and just try to move it down a little bit. Yeah. And then you can even move these over, the side ones over a little bit more. Okay, so there's 1 foot. Go ahead and make 3 more. And then we can work on the trunk. Okay, so for our next portion, we're going to be working on the trunk, and I only have my 1 loom now. You'll only need your 1 loom for the remainder of this tutorial. I've got it set in the offset position where the openings of the pegs are facing towards me, and the trunk is going to be based off of Feeling Spiffy Crafting Fantastic's half row in order to get the curve for the trunk, so credit goes to her for coming up with this method. I'm going to start about maybe in the center sort of my loom, because we're just going to be expanding a little bit, not too much, so just make sure you're not starting at the very bottom. So I'm starting with 1 band and I'm double looping it, and I'm placing my bands in the starburst position. So just going to go around like this with my double looped bands. Most of the trunk is double looped, and I'll let you know which parts aren't, and I think that's like towards the end anyway. So okay, so I've got my starburst set up, and now I'm going to take my capping band, so just 1, and I'm going to wrap it around the center 3 times, creating 4 loops. And now I'm just going to start to loom this. So I'll go inside the capping band and grab the top band and bring it back to itself. I'll go in through the capping band and grab the next set, which will go over here. Depending on how you placed your bands, it will probably be different than mine. And I've already broken a band. Okay, so I broke that band, but I just replaced it real fast. Okay, I'm not having very good luck with these bands at all. Okay, so I'm just continuing to loom this out. And I'm going to cross my fingers that no more bands break. Alright, so push that down. So now this is what you should have. So now we're still using our double looped bands, and we're going to go around our starburst. Okay, so that's what you have now, and we're going to go and flip the bottom, which will be, it looks like 4, but it's really 2 bands, but since we double looped them, there's 4, so just flip all of those bands underneath, keeping 4 bands on top. last one here. Okay, I'm going to push this down. Okay, I'm going to do that again 3 more times. So we want a total of 4 like this. And it doesn't matter which order you place the bands. Okay, and so now that I've laid those bands, I'm going to go and flip the 4 bands underneath, leaving 4 on top. Okay, so that was 2 sets. So I need to do 2 more. Okay, again, flipping the bottom 4. Push down, and we've got 1 more row before we start our half rows. Okay. And flipping the bottom 4. If you hear clicking in the background, that's my son playing on the computer. He's 7 and he loves Minecraft. Okay, last one over here. Can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so push those down again. And then go into your center pin and start pulling this out gently. Right. Okay, so now we're going to start our half rows. And we're still doing the double looped bands. So these 2 pins here aren't going to have any bands on them. But we're going to do all the way around and then skip these 2 here. So I'll start down here and put a band there. And I'll just go around this way. And then 1 more here. And as you can see, there's nothing there. So I'm going to flip these 4 pins here. I'm going to leave these 2 alone for now. So let's go ahead and flip the bottom 4 on those. Okay, push those down. We're going to do another half row, the same exact thing, leaving this space open here. So again, nothing here, and again we're going to flip these 4 pins only. The bottom 4. Okay, push those down again, and now we're just going to do a regular row around the whole thing. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit. Okay, so now let's go all the way around our pins with our double looped bands. Okay, so all of the pins, these 4 pins will have 4 to flip over, and then these will have 8, I believe. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yes, 8. So just go and grab a little bit at a time, or all of them at the same time, but you want to end up with 4 bands on the top. So I have 4 there, and then we're just going to do these, which will have 4 only. Alright, let's push that down. Okay, now we're going to repeat that same process over again. So 2 half rows and then a regular row. So I'm doing my half row. Leaving this one empty. Don't touch these 2, and then flip the bottom 4 on the other ones. Push down. We're going to do another half row. And flipping these 4 over, leaving these 2 alone. Push down. And now we're going to do a regular row around with our double looped band still. Okay, so these 2 pins have 8 to flip over, and then these 4 have 4. So again, we just want to end up with 4 bands on top. Okay, let's push that down and then pull out our center a little bit more. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit. Okay, let's repeat that 2 half rows, regular row one more time. So this is the first half row. Again, this section is empty, and we're leaving these 2 pins alone and just flipping the bottom 4 on these 4 pins here. Let's push that down. Another half row around. Okay, this is empty, leaving these alone and flipping the bottom 4. Okay, let's push this down. And then I'm just going to do a regular row around with my double looped bands. Might have to move your trunk out of the way a little bit just to get in there. Okay, so these 2 will have 8 to flip and then 4 around the rest. So okay, so we're finished with our half rows. Now we are going to expand the middle pins. And so what I'm going to do is go through this middle pin here. I'm going to grab the top 2, bring it over to this pin here, and then grabbing the other top 2 and bringing it to this pin here. And then down here, I'm going to do the same thing. So this one is going to go this way. You want this band to be connected to this band. You don't want them to be crossing. Okay, so now I am on a total of 8 pins, and then these ones are now empty. And now what I'm going to do is go around with double bands twice, or double banded twice, double looped. So I'm just going to go around in this rectangle. Okay, so let's flip the bottoms. On these 2 pins here, you're only going to have to flip 2 over because of the expansion that we just did. So there's only 2 there, and then 4 here, 4 here, and then here will be 2 again, and then 2 on this side, and then the rest will be 4. Okay, so push that down and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going all the way around in my rectangle. And now we'll have 4 bands to flip over on each pin, leaving 4 on the top. Alright, let's push those down. And we're almost finished with our trunk. The last 2 rows will just be, we won't be double looping the bands anymore. We'll be using 2 bands for each pin. So I'm using 2 bands and going all the way around, and I'm going to do that twice. Alright, so let's flip the bottom 4, leaving 4 on the top. And push those down, and we will repeat that one more time, and then we'll close it off. So again with the double bands. And let's flip over the bottom 4. Okay, push your bands down. If you want, you can remove this over this pin here, so that when we pull it off, it won't get caught on there. Okay, so this is what we've got, and now let's start taking it off. I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to go and put my hook in there, grab all of those loops. And then while I go around and pick up all of these loops, I am going to try to hold this part down with my hands just to make sure that these loops don't pop off while I'm going around. So I'm just gathering all of these bands onto my hook. That pin's in the way. Alright, so I've got it off the loom and onto my hook. So this is what we've got. This is our trunk. And we need to close this off. So I'm going to take 2 bands, stick them on my hook, and then I'm going to slide this through all of these loops here. And I got some caught up in there. Okay. Try to center your bands. I don't want to pull these ones too much because you've seen how easy they are to break. But put both ends of the band onto your hook and then tie that into a slip knot. as tight as you can, but you don't want to snap these bands. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen to me. So I'm going to do it very carefully. I'm going to push that down, and then I'll go in the trunk and grab these tying off bands and bring it into the trunk of the elephant. Alright. Okay, so what we got is this, and it's not as curved as I want it to be. So towards the end, we're actually going to, if you want to, you don't have to, but I just slip knotted. I just went through some bands in this up here and then into here, and then slip knotted so that it was closed off like that, so it's curved more. So I'm going to do that later though. So we've got our trunk down, and then next we can work on the hat. Okay, so for now, for the hat, I've removed my middle pin bar, and then also I removed the larger Rainbow Loom, whatever this is called, I forget, extender. And so I have the middle empty, and I have yellow for my hat. You can use whatever color you want. And I'm just gonna, it's gonna be single banded. So I'm gonna take one band, and I'm going to make a figure 8 going across. I'm going to take another band, do another figure 8, and then again. I'm going to take another band and go across, and then I'm going to close these two in here. So here's one, and here's two. Okay, so I'll take my band, my single bands, and this time I'm just going to go straight across. No need for the 8 figure. So just lay your bands regular on top of these. Okay, so now what we need to do is flip the bottom 2 so that you're leaving 2 bands on top. Flip in the bottom 2. Okay, let's push that down. We're gonna go around this shape one more time before we decrease. So let's just go around regular. Okay, and then I'm going to flip the bottom 2. Push down. And now I'm going to decrease the corners. So I'll decrease this one up here, and then I'll decrease the one right across from it. So to do that, we're just going to pick up the 2 bands on our pin and bring them down 1, and then flip the bottom 2 that are underneath that. Okay, so now I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to bring that back 1 pin, place that on my pin, and then I'll flip these bottom 2 over. So let's push that down. Now we're going to do a row around with regular, just 1 single band. Just like that. Now I'm going to flip the bottom 2. Okay, I'm going to push that down. Now we're going to go around this again, except now we're going to double loop our bands. So all of them will be double looped. Okay, and we're going to flip the bottom 2 again. Okay, push down. Wait, I missed one here. And here. Wait. No, I didn't miss one. Okay. Push down. And now we're going to decrease the other corners. So I'm going to be decreasing this one, and I'm going to be decreasing this one. So I'm just going to pick this one up, place it on my pin right below it, and then I'm going to flip, looks like 4, it's really 2 bands, but I'm going to flip all 4 of those over, and now I'm going to take this one and bring it over here. And I'll do the same thing. I'll flip the bottom 4, like that, pushing my bands down. And then I'm gonna go, whoops, across once, and then I'm gonna flip, push down. I'm gonna go across again with a double loop band. I'm going to flip, push down, and then one more time. Double band, double looped, cross, flip, and that's it. So now we just need to gather up these loops here. So I'm going to put these loops onto my pin, my hook. So I've got that right now, and then I'll just tie this off with a yellow band, making a slip knot. So just fluff it out a little bit. Okay, so that's our hat. I am going to weave this tying off band through some of these stitches. Actually, I'm just going to do 2, and then I'll bring it through the center. So I'm just going back and forth into the stitches. So I just did that twice, and now I'm just going to go into the hat and grab that tying off band and pull it down. Just doesn't want to work for me today. Nothing wants to work for me. Okay, it's still poking it right there. Okay, so there we go. There's a little hat. You can put that aside now, and we're gonna make the little collar. Ugh, this stuff is so nasty. Okay, so let's do the collar. Same setup for our pin. And we'll need the yellow, and we'll also need a little bit of red. Okay, so for the collar, we're going to be working on 8 pins. So we'll do our figure 8s across, and then we'll go on 1, 2, 3, 4, and then across. And I lied, we're actually working on 10 pins. So I'm just doing my figure 8s, closing up this rectangle. Okay. I'm going to repeat the same thing again. I am going to do figure eights for this whole entire collar. I'm not sure if it makes any difference or not. I just, when I made this one here, it came out, I liked how it came out like ruffly a little bit, kind of. I just liked the way it looked, so I'm just going to do it this way. So I'm doing my figure eights. On top of my figure eights. Okay, and then I'm going to flip the bottom too. Okay, I'm going to push down. Okay, and now I'm going to switch to red and do my figure eights on top of the yellow. Now I'm going to flip over my yellow bands. Push those down. And we're going back to yellow now. Flipping over my red too. Alright, one more row with the yellow. Okay, I'm going to flip over the bottom too. Okay. Push those down. And so now what I'm going to do is just go around here. I'm going to go in through the top band, grab the bottom one, and loop that up, I'm going to go through my single, and I'm going to take both of those at the bottom and loop those up. Go through those two, loop up the bottom two. Go through those two, grab the bottom two and loop up. Go through those, grab the bottom two and loop over. And go through these, grab the bottom two and loop up. Going through these, grabbing the bottom two and looping up. Going through these and grabbing the bottom and looping up. Going through these and grabbing the bottom and looping them up. And then the last one, going through here and looping them over here. Then I'll just use a slip knot. So I'll use a yellow band and tie off this pin here. And then you can just take it off your loom. Give it a little stretch, and then we'll use this to put on our elephant later when we finish him. So I liked to use this side here, the side that kind of curves over, but you can use this side as well. It just doesn't curve it. Well, I mean, you could make it like this, that'd be cute. But I'm going to use this side, so we can set that aside with our hat. And then now we can start on the actual design. Yay! I'll see you guys over at the next video, and we can start making Dumbo and attaching all his body parts.